So good day, brothers and sisters, and welcome to our homily sharing session. The homily for today is from the Gospel of the 32nd Sunday in Ordinary Time, and is taken from Matthew chapter 25, 1 to 13. I read. Then Jesus said, "The kingdom of heaven will be like this. 10 bridesmaids took their lamps and went to meet the bridegroom. 5 of them were foolish and 5 were wise. When the foolish took their lamps, they took no oil with them. But the wise took flasks of oil with their lamps. And the bridegroom was delayed. All of them became drowsy and slept. But at midnight there was a shout, 'Look, here is the bridegroom. Come out to meet him.' Then all those bridesmaids got up and trimmed their lamps. The foolish said to the wise, 'Give us some of your oil, for our lamps are going out.' But the wise replied, 'No, there will not be enough for you and for us. You had better go to the dealers and buy some for yourselves.' And while they went to buy it, the bridegroom came, and those who were ready went with him into the wedding banquet. And the door was shut. Later the other bridesmaids came also, saying, 'Lord, Lord, open to us.' But he replied, 'Truly I tell you, I do not know you. Keep awake therefore, for you know neither the day nor the hour.'" The Gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ. So, brothers and sisters, today's Gospel falls within a part of Matthew's Gospel, the discourse that runs from Matthew chapter 23 to Matthew chapter 25. Those chapters are considered by many commentators as the 5th discourse of the Gospel according to Matthew. And the central theme is guilt and judgment of Israel. Now, it is important to observe that the entire discourse we find between Matthew chapter 23 and 25 is concerned with the idea of doing what has been commanded by Jesus. This motif is found both at the beginning of this discourse in Matthew chapter 23, 3 to 4, and then at the end of the discourse from Matthew chapter 25, 45 to 46. So the parable of the 10 virgins has to be interpreted within the framework of this motif, which is doing and keeping what has been commanded by Jesus. And this is the attitude in which a Christian is found worthy at the final judgment. The coming of the final judgment is found towards the end of the Gospel according to Matthew, especially in Matthew chapter 24. So the lesson from Matthew's Gospel is that the community's love for Jesus should not grow cold in waiting for his return. And the parable we have today, the parable of the 10 virgins, is meant to illustrate this teaching. Now, to the parable. In this parable, there are 10 virgins. 5 were wise and 5 were foolish. Now, there is a wisdom motive for discerning the followers of Jesus in Matthew's Gospel. This motive is already found in Matthew chapter 24, 45. There Jesus spoke of the wise and the faithful slave. So this passage is not the only place we find the wisdom associated to the discerning follower of Jesus. This wisdom is about making the right choices. Here in this parable, the choice is to remember to get ready. The discerning Christian follower of Jesus is one who understands the need to always appear just in the presence of God. You often hear people say, "Let me enjoy my youth. When I grow older, then we can get more spiritual." Well, that philosophy may be wise in the eyes of the world, but from the wisdom motive of the discerning disciple, as we see in the Gospel according to Matthew, especially as expressed in this parable of the 10 virgins, that is an extreme expression of foolishness, because we are not the ones to set the timetable for God. It is the other way around. We cannot afford to burn our time in a wild goose chase, where we seek the things that really do not matter. This parable of the 10 virgins is about paying attention to little details with regard to spiritual life and to virtue. By the way, who says life cannot be enjoyed by being spiritual and being dedicated to God? There's so much to do as a follower of Christ. There's so much progress to be made that we cannot afford to burn our time like the foolish virgins. The foolish virgins did not have enough oil for their lamps. And when the bridegroom came, they were taken unawares. This is an allegory for those sets of people who live in the moment and who do not understand the need to stay prepared and ready. We need to understand that readiness is a dynamics of growth, not just physical, but also spiritual growth. Staying prepared is having the ability to confront Jesus, the bridegroom, always. A simple way of knowing how well we are doing in the spiritual life is this: asking ourselves one simple question. If Jesus should ask me right now how I am doing in my life, what kind of answer can I give? Let us not forget that the bridegroom in this story could most likely be Jesus in his coming, a coming which can actually have a personal dimension, because we will all have to give account of how we have lived personally, each one of us individually. The question is, a question this parable of the 10 virgins wants to ask us is this: for that confrontation, for that encounter we would have with Jesus on the last day, are we ready for that encounter? Now let us pray. Lord, grant us your wisdom to make the right choices in life. Grant us your docility to listen to your voice, so that we may remain ever ready for an encounter with you. May our lives be a testimony of the good that your grace has worked in us through Christ our Lord. Amen.